Imagine a world millions of years before the first pyramids, a time when our story was just beginning. What if I told you that the key to our very existence wasn't a powerful jaw or sharp claws, but a simple rock held in a hand, just learning to be human? Today, we're journeying back 7.3 million years to meet our earliest ancestors and uncover the moment everything changed. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're peeling back the layers of time to a period known as the Miocene. Forget bustling cities and smartphones. Picture vast African savannas, dense woodlands, and a cast of creatures straight out of a fantasy novel. This was the world that greeted our earliest relatives, hominins who had just embarked on a separate evolutionary path from the apes that would become modern chimpanzees. One of our earliest known ancestors from this time is Sahelanthropus chidensis, discovered in Chad and dating back around 7 million years. Nicknamed Tume, this individual is a fascinating puzzle. The position of the foramen magnum, the hole where the spinal cord connects to the skull, suggests that Tume may have walked upright on two legs, at least some of the time. This adaptation, known as bipedalism, would be ignored. Why? Because walking on two legs freed up the hands. And what did our ancestors do with these newly freed hands? For millions of years, not much beyond what other primates did, climbing, carrying food, and gesturing, the real revolution was still a long way off. Life was a constant struggle for survival. Imagine waking up each day with one primary goal: find food and don't become food. The landscape was teeming with predators, giant hyenas, saber-toothed cats, and enormous crocodiles lurking in the waterways. Our ancestors were not at the top of the food chain. They were likely opportunistic foragers, gathering fruits, nuts, tubers, and insects. Meat was probably a rare and precious treat, most likely scavenged from the kills of larger predators. Think about the courage that would take sneaking in to snatch a piece of a carcass while a formidable carnivore was nearby. It was a high-risk, high-reward strategy. For millions of years, this was the rhythm of life. Then, around 3.3 million years ago, something extraordinary happened in what is now Kenya, near Lake Turkana. Archaeologists discovered a set of the oldest stone tools ever found. These aren't the finely crafted spearheads you might be picturing. They are massive, chunky pieces of rock, intentionally struck against other rocks to create a sharp edge. This technology is known as the Lomquian industry. These first toolmakers weren't even from our own genus Homo. They were likely an earlier hominin, possibly a species like This discovery was groundbreaking because it pushed back the timeline for tool use by over 700,000 years. It showed that the cognitive leap required to see a tool inside a plain rock happened much earlier than we ever thought. So what were these crude tools used for? The evidence points to heavy-duty work. These were not delicate instruments. The creators of these tools were using them with force, perhaps to crack open nuts with tough shells that were inaccessible otherwise, or to break open bones to get at the nutritious marrow inside. This was a crucial innovation. Marrow is packed with fat and calories, a superfood that could have fueled the development of a larger, more energy-hungry brain. The act of making a tool, even a simple one, is a complex cognitive process. You have to select the right kind of rock. You need to understand angles and force to strike it in just the right way to produce a flake with a sharp edge. You have to have a plan, a mental template of the tool you want to create. This is the dawn of technology, the very first spark of engineering. This new ability didn't just change our ancestors' diet, it changed their world. With tools, they could access resources that were previously locked away. They could process food more efficiently, making it easier to digest and extract nutrients. This might sound small, but over thousands of generations, this nutritional advantage had profound evolutionary consequences. Better nutrition supports a larger brain, and a larger brain allows for more complex thought, better tool-making, and improved social cooperation. It was a positive feedback loop that set our lineage on a path to becoming the planet's dominant species. Think about the social implications. Tool-making is a skill that can be taught and learned. It suggests a level of social transmission of knowledge. Picture an elder hominin demonstrating to a younger one how to strike a stone correctly. This is the beginning of culture, of passing down traditions and innovations from one generation to the next. It's the foundation of everything that makes us human, our ability to build upon the knowledge of those who came before us. As we move forward in time, to around 2.6 million years ago, we see a refinement in this technology. This is the start of the old Owl industry, famously associated with early members of our own genus, like Homo habilis, which means handyman. These tools were smaller, more refined, and more versatile than the Lomquian ones. Old Awan toolmakers were creating sharp flakes that could have been used for butchering animals, cutting plants, or shaping wood. With these more sophisticated tools, hunting, or at least aggressive scavenging, became a more viable strategy. Instead of just snatching scraps, our ancestors could now use stone flakes to quickly slice off chunks of meat from a carcass, or even dismember it to carry back to a safe location. This ability to butcher and transport food would have fostered greater cooperation within groups. A successful hunt or scavenging effort would mean food for everyone, strengthening social bonds and creating a more resilient community. Life was still incredibly dangerous. Early humans were both predator and prey. But with tools, the balance began to shift ever so slightly in their favor. A sharp stone wasn't just a tool for getting food. It was also a potential weapon for defense. A group of hominins, armed with sharp rocks, would have been a much more formidable sight to a predator than a group without them. This journey from simply using objects found in nature to intentionally manufacturing tools marks the most important turning point in our history. It was the moment we began to shape our environment rather than just being shaped by it. It was the first step on the long road to building cities, writing symphonies, and even traveling to the moon. It all started here, on the ancient African savanna, with a curious mind, a grasping hand, and a simple piece of stone. The hunt for survival became the dawn of invention. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey back in time. It is truly humbling to think about the immense challenges our ancestors faced and the ingenuity they used to overcome them. If you enjoyed this deep dive into our origins, please hit that like button and consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss our next adventure. See you in the next one.